have in my hand a $70 handguard and a $300 handguard, but why does this handguard cost 4 times as much? I mean, they look almost the same, they feel mostly the same, so why should you spend the extra cash on a handguard when you could get close to the same thing for way less? Well, there are some times you may want to fork out the extra cash because there is indeed a difference, my friends. Well, hey everyone, it's CJ with AT3 Tactical, and I wanted to figure out why handguard prices are all over the place. Let me show you a few examples of budget handguards and a few examples of more high-end handguards to help us understand why these prices vary so much. The first thing to look at is the material used in every handguard. Let's look at something like this, the Geissele Mark 8. These things are built like tanks, meaning they're super rigid and they're meant to be used with specific tools for specific use cases like military or duty style rifles. The biggest contributor to this rigidity is the 7000 series aluminum Geissele is using here for a more rigid design than the inexpensive 6061 T6 aluminum that a lot of other brands use. But why do you want to have more rigidity in a handguard anyway? Well, when the rifle is fired, handguards will wiggle a little bit. Aluminum, like 6061 T6 that this 2A Basics handguard uses, can flex and reverberate slightly, whereas the stronger 771 and 775 series aluminum will not flex as much, therefore leading to maintaining zero over fast rates of fire, which is super important for those who need to maintain their zero with night vision IR lasers, like with people who require those tools for law enforcement or military applications. If you plan on being rough with your gun, relying on iron front sights that mount to the front of your handguard, or have any laser aiming devices on your handguard, then you will want to spend the extra money on something like this because that toughness does come with a higher price tag, but it comes with higher confidence. These guys are meant to be trusted with people's lives, so if you put value in having the strongest, toughest gun out there, then you're going to have to pay extra for it. When we look at more inexpensive handguards like this 2A Basics handguard, they are going to be using aluminum again as the primary material, and it could be more prone to bending or warping over time, especially in the QD mounting areas if you are constantly taking your sling on and off. A more expensive handguard incorporates steel inserts into those QD cups to reinforce that area. Some handguards can even be made from carbon fiber for better lightweight performance, but we'll talk about those later. There might also be some more special handguards out there that are made from things other than the standard aluminum or carbon fiber, like titanium, polymer, or even ones that have some magnesium-infused materials. These are typically harder to find and vary in quality and are just more niche in general though. So if you want one, you can definitely look around, but do plenty of homework before throwing a bucket of money at them. If those aren't the kinds of tasks that you're trying to accomplish, then you will probably be just fine going with a more basic handguard, like the ones from Air Precision, UTG, or even us here from AT3. The next category is going to be the barrel nut and the hardware that's included with the handguard, and that should be something that you should really put value in if you care about your handguard not moving a single millimeter, or if you really care about how easy it is for your handguard to be installed. The more expensive handguards, on the other hand, are going to have enhanced fitment and more robust barrel nuts that improve stability and reduce movement due to them sometimes being made out of steel or having more hardware to secure them into position, like my favorite ones from Daniel Defense. Looking at this, what I would call more premium handguard now from Bravo Company Manufacturing, or some of you may know them as BCM, it also has a steel barrel nut to mitigate that flex and play that some other barrel nuts could have, and it also has a cross-bolt locking system, which basically means it reinforces the connection so that it won't move. The fit is so tight on this BCM MCMR handguard that you actually have to heat the handguard with something like a hairdryer to expand it so it can fit over the barrel nut, and then it will compress down to have as tight of a connection as possible. What this means is that at times installation is a little more tricky, like this BCM one here. Or it could even mean that it's a bit simpler, like the Spear XL suppressor-ready handguard that has a really well thought through design, making it quick and easy to install while at the same time being as secure as possible. It just depends on the handguard, so I would recommend looking up some installation videos of the handguard that you're looking at to make sure that you're up for the task of installation. Just a friendly reminder to always torque things down to spec, whether that's the hardware you're getting or the barrel nut, and keep in mind too that some manufacturers don't actually include a barrel nut wrench, so if you don't already have one or yours doesn't come with it, then you might have to come up with that on your own. Next up is fit and finish, and the inexpensive handguards are going to be functional, but they may have rougher edges due to less precise machining, or use the standard mil-spec anodizing for coatings, which isn't bad by any means, but there are better coatings out there. What makes a lot of more premium handguards more expensive, like this BCM one again here, is the Type 3 hard coat anodized finish, which exceeds the standard mil-spec Type 2. All Type 3 really means for us is Type 3 anodizing creates a thicker, harder, and more corrosion-resistant surface on the aluminum, which enhances the handguard strength and increases the longevity of the handguard. So let me ask you, do you plan on using your handguard in wet or muddy situations? If you don't, then this probably doesn't matter to you as much, and you probably won't place as much value on better anodizing. I've literally felt a $20 handguard before that literally almost cut me when I held it because the machining was so crappy. So believe me, it does make a difference when you spend the extra cash to get better anodization or better coatings and proper machining on the handguard itself. But again, if that's not something you care about and you just care about having something that works for the least amount of money, then that's totally fine. Next up is weight considerations, and most manufacturers don't intentionally try to reduce the weight with more budget-friendly handguards, but depending on the materials they use, they can still be lightweight. If you are shopping around and you still want a lighter weight handguard that's still affordable, you can grab an M-LOK handguard that is going to be using way less material than quad rail handguards, for example. Let's just do a quick weight comparison of some handguards that we've been talking about. The UTG Pro, which is a more budget option, is going to be around 13.4 ounces. The Geissele Mark 8 is going to be around 10.6 ounces. Just to put all that into perspective, your traditional can of Budweiser weighs in at about 13 ounces. Aside from these handguards, you also have ones that are made from lightweight carbon fiber, like this one from Faxon or ones from Jag Composites. Both of these are targeted at a more competition world, where being lightweight is key to enable fast target transitions. For example, the Faxon carbon fiber one here is gonna weigh in at about 8.64 ounces, and that's with all of the hardware included. Now, if you're looking to build out a lightweight gun for competition use, you're probably looking for higher tier handguards like the ones from Faxon or Jag Composites that are going to be around the $200 to $500 range. But if you aren't building out a gun with more specific requirements, then you're probably going to be fine looking at handguards from about $70 to the $120-ish range. Weight, at the end of the day, is just another one of those things that you have to consider, especially if you're going to start throwing things like grips, lights, or lasers, or even hand stops on. And if you're wondering which one of those you should go with, we got a whole video for you to help decide which one is worth it for you right here. We'll see you over there.